What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast and we can finally use the new moves that were added to certain Pokemon this season. So in today's video I'm going to be running Titan, which gained access to Powder Snow, and Naganadel, which gained access to Dragon Claw, which are both very nice upgrades for these Pokemon. They're not exactly going to be dominating the meta, but these kind of updates that take Pokemon with little to no viability and actually make them usable are very nice to see. I just wish we could have had a lot more changes this season. They don't have to be huge changes that completely flip the meta on their head, but just small changes like this are very nice. Now this team is almost identical to the last time I ran these two together, but I've replaced Dragalge with Como since I needed something that could handle Bastiodon, because of course in the Catch Cup last season there weren't too many people running Bastiodon, but unfortunately in the Open Great League meta it is a lot more common. Now before we get into the question of the day, I once again want to give a shout out to Colin L, who gifted 10 memberships in my most recent live stream, and along with a few others that have recently become channel members or gifted memberships, we're now sitting at 150 channel members, which is awesome to see. For anyone that doesn't know, becoming a channel member gives you access to various perks, including being able to view my videos before they go live for everyone else, shoutouts at the end of every video, being able to use loads of custom emojis that I've made myself that fit the theme of the channel, and you'll also get different loyalty badges depending on how long you're a channel member for. So if that interests you, hit the join button now. It's only 99p or the equivalent in your country, or if you want the chance to be gifted a membership, make sure you tune in to my live streams and enable gifted memberships, so that way whenever someone is generous enough to gift some memberships, you'll be in the pool of subscribers that can be gifted. But anyways, with that being said, let's get into the question of the day. What is your favourite move update this season? Of course, we don't have too many to choose from, but let me know in the comment section down below. And with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so going into the first battle, it's Titan into Charjabug, so a fairly neutral matchup, but I've got two Pokemon that completely wall the energy from the Charjabug, so I'm going to swap into my Como, catch a charge move here, and the opponent goes for Discharge, which is very interesting as both Discharge and X-Scissor deal the exact same amount of damage, but X-Scissor does cost 5 less energy, so in neutral matchup, it is definitely the way to go, going for X-Scissor rather than Discharge, but I'm not going to complain about it. I'm going to shield up the fly here. I'm going to throw, once again, going for the Dragon Claw just before they make it to the next charge move, and at this point the opponent's going to double shield their Talonflame, so I'm just going to let this go through here. I can come in with my Naganadel and I will be able to go for a full Poison Jab farm down, and we also only take 1 Incinerate's worth of damage, which is very nice because whilst it is resisted, Naganadel is not the bulkiest Pokemon, and you're going to see it right now. So here we're going to go for a Fell Stinger. You might have noticed I'm running Fell Stinger and not Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb is the recommended move, but I quite like the idea of boosting up my attack and then having to spam Dragon Claws. So here we can go for a full Poison Jab farm down, and because I have ramped up the attack here, we can just go straight for a Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw going to do big damage up against the Lantern. Looks like they are lagging there, but it doesn't really matter. We make it to Dragon Claw number 2, and Dragon Claw will be easily taking out the Lantern, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there. Into next game, sees Titan into a Ferrothorn. So once again, fairly neutral matchup here. I have two Pokemon that are going to wall the typical moveset from Ferrothorn, but also Naganadel also only has resisted charge moves to throw. Well, Fell Stinger is technically neutral, but it's not the hardest hitting move ever. Now here the opponent comes in with a Azumarill. I'm definitely going to shield this. In the 2-shield scenario, I can just Poison Jab farm them down, and if I was running Sludge Bomb, then this would be a much better matchup for me. But we can go for Fell Stinger, still grab a shield from the opponent, and at this point I'm just going to commit to the double shield and then go for a full farm down, and then we're going to be boosted, which is going to be very nice for us, as once again that Ferrothorn, like I mentioned, probably only going to have resisted charge moves to throw. Possibly I should have just gone for another Fell Stinger here, but I go for a Dragon Claw. The opponent actually shields that up there, so I definitely should have just baited, and even if the opponent did let that go through, boosting up my attack is definitely not a bad thing. As you can see, we've now gone for 3 Dragon Claws. The first one was shielded, the next 2 are no shield as they have no shields remaining, and we get them very low already with just resisted damage. They go for power, and that is still double resisted. We hang on, we can make it to yet another Dragon Claw up against the Cast Form coming in, and now we can just swap into Como, and this should be game over. The worst they could do is go for a Solar Beam, but even then that's still resisted, and at this point the opponent is just going to concede the match, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there, into next game we see Sir Titan into Umbreon. So once again, fairly neutral matchup, but since we are running sort of an ABB style team, I mean it is Double Dragon, although they're not going to share all of the same weaknesses, I will eventually look to swap into my Como-O. But anyways, going straight for an Avalanche here. Avalanche going to do about 30-35% of their health there, which isn't a lot, but Umbreon is very bulky. I'm able to catch the next foul play onto my Como-O, and the opponent comes in with a knockdown. Now, this isn't too bad for us. I'm going to go straight for the Brick Break here, realizing the opponent might shield, and the reason I ran Como-O over running something like Hakamo-O, which does have just better stats, and even though we're running the same moveset as the typical moveset for Hakamo-O, Como-O does have a lot more moves that I could potentially run, and that might grab a shield, as the opponent there may be shielding from the threat of a close combat. So either way, we're going to go for an Avalanche throwing on the CMP tie. They come in with Annihilate, which unfortunately does core break the team a little bit, but it doesn't really matter as we grab the final shield, and now the opponent's going to swap straight away back into their Umbreon, and I realize my win condition here is just double shielding, playing it safe. I don't care if they're running Psychic, Last Resort, or if they just go straight Foul Play in this matchup. I'm basically going to come out of this matchup with a ton of loaded energy. So what I'm going to do, I realize actually I can go for Fell Stinger straight away, fully undercharge it, and I should still be able to get 2 more Poison Jabs in, come out with back-to-back Dragon Claws loaded. So even if Annihilate somehow had an Ice Punch loaded right now, it doesn't matter, as we would easily win CMP, and because of that attack boost from the Fell Stinger, 2 Dragon Claws easily takes out the Annihilate, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there, into next game we see Politoed in the lead, so not ideal for us, and we're going to swap into Como-O, and this is the issue with Como-O. If the opponent is running some sort of Charm user, then you're not even going to make it to a charge move, and that is certainly not ideal. If I was running Poison Jab, I still would have made it to a charge move, but I would have at least dealt some decent damage there with the fast move. But either way, we can come in with the Sir Titan. Going to go for a charge move there. We lag a ton, but luckily for us, we do still make it to a Body Slam. I expect they're going to double shield, because of course, all Charm users are going to double shield there. We're going to shield up. Hopefully Crunch doesn't get the debuff, and it doesn't. We take them out with just 2 more Poison Jabs, but they come in with the Politoed, and unfortunately we're just not going to be able to deal enough damage to take them out. I do know shield. I knew it was going to be a Weather Ball there, but either way, that still does a lot of damage, and they are running Mud Shot, so unfortunately hitting for super effective damage with the fast moves. I can shield this. I probably will be able to take out the Politoed, but I probably can't beat whatever's in the back, and it ends up being an Umbreon. So you can see we have boosted up our attack. This Dragon Claw is going to do some pretty decent damage here. 1 more Poison Jab does get them into the yellow health range, but unfortunately I'm not quite able to output enough damage to take out the Umbreon or the Politoed, and we do end up losing that game. So GG's to opponent there, into next game we see Toxicroak in the lead, so once again another slight core breaker for the team just because Naganadel can only hit for resisted Poison Jab damage, but either way we swap into Como-O, and I realise Brick Break is going to be resisted, but hopefully even if they shield here, we can debuff their defense and get a full Dragon Tail farm down, and we are just barely able to do so, which is very nice. They're now going to come in with a Fire Fang Darmanitan. That is very spicy. Of course, in these sort of low rank battles, you might run into random teams like this, which are very cool. They're running Fire Fang, definitely want to go for Incinerate there as the fast move, and the opponent's got Rampardos in the back, so very cool to see. Unfortunate for them though, Dragon Claw is nearly going to one-shot them. I could have gone for the Poison Jab farm down, not really sure why I swapped out there, it doesn't really matter, but I'm able to take out the Rampardos and take that game. So GG's to the opponent there, into next game we see Charizard in the lead. Now I stayed in initially, realised they're running Fire Spin, so I do have to get out of there. If they're running Wing Attack, actually, Sir Titan's not going to have that bad of a matchup up against Charizard, but the opponent's going to swap into a Swampert, and this is absolutely fine with me. Once again, going to go for Brick Break here, as this will drop their defense, and we grab the shield there, possibly from the threat of a close combat, which is why I was running Como-O, but also you can say that these battles are at a low elo range, or just low ranking in general, so opponents might just not know the move anyways and end up shielding everything. It's hard to tell really, but either way we're going to go for another Brick Break here, and Brick Break will of course once again drop their defense, and the opponent does use their shield, and also not committing to a full Mud Shot farm down either, which is fine with me. We can come back in with Sir Titan. I've just got to look out for a potential catch here. I'm not going to bother throwing straight away. The opponent goes for a discharge, and they're going to swap into Charizard, so we swap into a Naganadel here, and I don't really need to shield this. For size, I want to see how much damage it does, and that nearly takes us out there. You can see just how glassy Naganadel is, but it doesn't matter. We simultaneous KO. I come out with the Avalanche loaded. We take out the Unova Stunfisk, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into next game, we see Azumarill in the lead. Now, this is definitely a bit tricky for us. If I was running Poison Jab on my Commo, I might actually just say swap into it. But unfortunately, I am running Dragon Tail. I did consider running double Poison Jab in the back. But then I thought, if we see something like Annihilate in the lead, then it's going to be a little bit awkward there. Because if I swap out, we still got no fast move pressure with the Poison Jabs on either Pokemon. So it's a little bit tricky. But either way, I'm going to go straight for Avalanche there. And we're going to go for another Avalanche. And this should get the Azumarill reasonably low here. The opponent is going to no shield once again. We get them deep into the red health, and we just barely miss out on making it to a body slam, unfortunately. If we got to that charge move there, maybe could have grabbed a shield from the opponent, but we don't get there, and now we do have to use a shield, as of course, Ice Beam going to do a lot of damage. The opponent has a Shadow Alolan Sand Slash in the back anyway, so it's looking like it's game over. We grab a shield there just because of the surprise factor of the Naganadel, but it doesn't really matter. They can just hard counter my back line. They go for an Aerial Ace. I didn't bother throwing a charge move there. I was hoping that maybe if we force them to throw straight away, if we barely lived that, maybe I could have grabbed a shield there, but it didn't work out that way. But GG's to the opponent there. Into next game, slightly different order this time, as they're leading with the Gligar, then save swapping into the Azumarill. We're going to go for the Fell Stinger, and once again we grab a shield there, and that's just the surprise factor of the Naganadel. Now, I did look up on PV Poke. Apparently, with Fell Stinger, you do win the one shield scenario, but that's based on even energy, and of course, since they did swap into Azu, unfortunately, I'm barely not able to swap out in time, so they're actually able to just barely make it to a second Ice Beam, so definite mistake from my end there. And actually, the first time we saw an Azumarill, that was actually after this battle, so that was me sort of adapting to that there, making sure I didn't throw a second Fell Sting, and instead just committing to a full fast move farm down. But either way, I'm able to grab a shield back from the Gligar, get them incredibly low, and at this point I'm just going to let the Naganadel go down. Aerial Ace does take us out. They come in with a Registeel. Now this is actually a little bit scary for us, as of course Brick Break not really going to do that much damage here. The opponent's able to outpace me to a Focus Blast, putting me potentially into lock-on farm down range. It kind of just depends how much damage we can deal with the Brick Breaks here, and we do of course drop their defense. We make it to Brick Break number 2. I need this to KO here. Brick Break actually doesn't quite get the KO, but it doesn't matter. I'm still able to Dragon Tail farm them down, and they're in range where we can just go for a full Powder Snow farm down. Doesn't really matter what they throw. Nothing will take us out from this range. The Titan has some okay-ish bulk, and we're able to Powder Snow farm down the Gligar to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into next game, we see a Serperior in the lead. So my entire team is actually very strong up against Serperior. So I don't really have to swap out of this matchup here as the opponent comes in with their Mantine. Gonna go straight for the Avalanche, dealing big damage. I'm gonna no shield. Worst it could be is a Water Pulse, and it is the Water Pulse. But you can see we do still tank that reasonably comfortably. I go for another Avalanche here. I just wasn't quite sure if a Body Slam would KO, and I didn't really want to risk it. But now we're gonna go for a Body Slam. I think with one extra Powder Snow, maybe this would get the knockout. But we're going to swap into Naganadel there, as I realize the opponent can just fully farm me down, and the opponent goes for another Water Pulse, which is resisted damage. Bit of a strange move there from the opponent, and here I am over farming here, very unnecessary, because I thought, oh, I'll farm at least to a potential Sludge Bomb before throwing, but they've got no shields anyway, so I should have just ramped up my attack as soon as possible. We go for Dragon Claw this time, because even though it's double resisted, it does do slightly more damage than a single resisted Fell Stinger. We're now going to come in with the Commo, and I thought, that's actually quite fast. I don't think that's going to be a Moonblast, and it is just the Rock Slide, so very nice call there, but this is still going to be tricky. I've got 2 shields, but I'm at risk of the opponent possibly farming me down. Of course, I'm not going to be able to deal much damage up against that Carbink with just my Dragon Tail damage, and Brick Break, whilst yes, it will drop their defense, it isn't going to do much damage either, so a little bit tricky situation to be in. But either way, we go for Dragon Claw number 2, taking out Serperior, and you can see these Rock Throws, whilst not doing much damage, are adding up over time. Can we make it to back-to-back Brick Breaks here? It's going to be very close. The first one really does not do much damage, and we do make it to a second Brick Break, but this still won't be enough damage to KO. So we're going to swap into Titan, and we get a simultaneous KO. We barely had enough HP on our Commo to still be alive, so I'm just barely able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see Skarmory in the lead, and honestly, I didn't see too many Skarmory with this team here. You can see, of course, it is very weak to Skarmory, so I'm actually just going to stay in with the Titan, go straight for an Avalanche throwing on the CMP tie, and at this point, I can't really afford to shield, so I'm going to no shield. They go for the Sky Attack. They get 1 extra fast move in for free, which is very nice for them, not ideal for me. We're going to go straight for a Dragon Claw here. Maybe should have gone for a Brick Break, but the opponent's going to no shield. And then unfortunately they don't get KO'd by the Dragon Tail there, which is very unfortunate for me. We're going to shield up an Aqua Tail, which I know is resisted damage. I probably didn't have to shield that, but then I realized if I didn't shield, they can just farm me down with the Skarmory, and Naganadel is going to have a very rough time farming them down because, of course, Poison Jab is double resisted. But now we drop their defense. Hopefully we can get that farm down before they make it to another Sky Attack, and we get the farm down, but they've got a Quagsire in the back. So unfortunately, not a lot we can do here. I'm going to go for the bait here. Fell Stinger will be grabbing a shield, and we can now go for a boosted Dragon Claw, but Dragon Claw still not going to do too much damage. A second Dragon Claw would KO, but they can very easily outpace me anyways. They go for a Stone Edge, massive overkill there. Honestly, Aqua Tail would very nearly take us out from that range, but either way, they're able to take me out with the Quagsire, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. But GG's to the opponent there. Internet security, the opponent safe swapping from Ampharos into Medicham. I don't have the best responses, so what I'm going to do, stay in with Sir Titan. We now know that they're running Power Up Punch. We go straight for Avalanche. I realized if I land the Avalanche, I can probably just farm them down with my Naganadel, but now I'm going to have to shield this up here. They've boosted their attack. They go for the Psychic. They full send it, which means I can overfarm quite considerably now. I'm going to go for the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw is going to grab a shield, and now I can just throw another Dragon Claw. Of course, the opponent did shield there, so possibly could have gotten away with baiting with a Fell Stinger, but either way, it doesn't really matter too much. They're going to come in with Galarian Weezing, and at this point, this should be fine with us, as long as the opponent doesn't massively overfarm in this matchup, which they're not going to do, as they do end up throwing straight away. Como-O gonna wall pretty much everything the Ampharos can throw, unless they're running Dragon Pulse, which would be very interesting, or I guess Focus Blast as well. But either way, I'm just going to play it safe, use my shield here, going to make sure the opponent doesn't make a catch here, so I'm going to go and wait one turn, just to make sure they don't swap out, which they don't, and Avalanche will be taking out the Weezing. We can come in with the Como-O, and the opponent is actually going to farm 2-4 Volt Switches, which means this could be a Dragon Pulse, but it's just a Trailblaze, which of course is still resisted. We tank it very comfortably. We can go for a Dragon Claw, taking out the Ampharos, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Internet's going to see Sir Titan into a Jellicent. Of course, not great for us. I'm going to safe swap into my Como-O. Now, of course, my Naganadel isn't going to have the best matchup here, but at least it's not completely walled like it used to be if I was running Fell Stinger and Sludge Bomb, because Dragon Claw can at least hit for neutral damage, and since we've landed a Dragon Claw, this is actually not going to be that bad of a matchup for us, but the opponent's actually running Ice Beam on their Jellicent, which is very interesting. We're going to go for the Dragon Claw. I'm hoping I can make it to a second Dragon Claw, but we do faint as we get there. Very unfortunate, but it's not going to matter too much because we can of course just come in with Sir Titan, gonna tank one charge move here and then commit to a full Powder Snow farm down. They go for Moonblast as they're probably only making it to one move, and that does do slightly more damage. It also has a chance to drop my attack, but they don't get that chance there. We're gonna go for the Avalanche, grab the shield from the opponent, and since they shielded there, that kind of makes me think they might have something else that is very weak to ice in the back, so I'm actually going to shield. We're now going to come in with the Naganadel, and they've got Serperior, so doesn't really matter in the end. We completely destroy Serperior. We go for Fell Stinger, as I realize now we can just fully Poison Jab, farm them down. The opponent knows that an Aerial Ace will not KO, so they just concede the match there. So GG's to the opponent there. Internet's going to see a Nidoqueen in the lead. So of course, good lead matchup for us. I'm going to throw on the CMP Tire with a potential Poison Fang, and we actually bait with a Body Slam. Grab a shield as I realize they're probably not going to no-shield that. They probably want to get off a Poison Fang. We're actually going to no-shield that, which is quite an interesting play. Come in with the Como-O, and again the opponent is just going to go straight for a Poison Fang. But since they're not swapping out here, I'm actually going to shield this because now we can go for a full Dragon Tail farm down. And the opponent's going to have a Politoed, Shadow Politoed in the back. So we go straight for the Brick Break. And once again, because we are running Como-O there, the threat of a potential close combat or maybe even a Boom Burst grabs a shield from the opponent. Now we can go for a Dragon Claw, dealing more damage since we've dropped their defense. At this point, Weather Ball will be taking us out, but that's absolutely okay. We come in with Naganadel. They don't make it to an Ice Beam. And again, they've got a Grass type in the back. We can completely destroy them. So the opponent just concedes the match there. So GG's to the opponent there. Into next game, another great lead for Sir Titan. The opponent's going to safe swap into Bastiodon, and this is why we're running Como-O here. This is a very nice matchup. Despite Dragon Tail, of course, being resisted, we should completely wall the typical moveset, unless they are running Flash Cannon, which would be Very strange from the opponent, but they're just going to go for a flamethrower. Definitely should just go for the Stone Edge there, but that's fine with me. I'm not going to complain. We're going to farm 2 near back-to-back moves here. The reason I go for 1 turn earlier, it was just because in case they did shield there, we could still get off another charge move, but either way, they're going to come back in with the Gligar. We're going to go for the Dragon Claw, and the opponent is going to no-shield that. Now this one we're going to come in with Titan. I'm going to shield this. I don't know what they've got in the bag, but I feel like this is a fairly safe play. They full send the dig, and they're staying in with the Gligar, so at this point, this is just going to be an Aerial Ace. I'm going to no-shield. I'm going to have a loaded Titan, and the opponent has a Cresselia in the back, so things are looking fairly good for us. I'm going for the Avalanche. They no-shield the first move, and yes, it doesn't do too much damage, but at this point, they are definitely going to have to shield now, so I'm going to go for the Body Slam. I think at this point, I should just barely live a Grass Knot, at least I'm pretty confident that I will, and Grass Knot just barely doesn't take us out there. I'm going to bank that Body Slam for later, just in case I need it, but I don't think I will, as I'm going to come in with Naganadel, go for the Fell Stinger, grab that final shield, a bit of an unnecessary bait there, but it doesn't really matter. We grab the final shield, they full send a Future Sight, and at this point, I could have committed to a full fast move farm down, but I panic in the end. I just go for the Dragon Claw, I play it safe, we take out Cresselia, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there into the next game. Very difficult lead for us as we lead Titan into a Shadow Alolan Sandslash. So this is probably one of the worst Pokemon we could possibly see with this team. Obviously, if Como has a big energy advantage, we might be able to beat it with Brick Breaks, but aside from that, this is really not good for us. I'm just spamming these Body Slams. I'm going to no-shield. I feel like I'm probably going to live this, which is actually slightly worse for us as this is going to force me to swap out, but the opponent swaps at the exact same time. They come in with Shadow for Alligator. I'm going to no-shield since they do still have a loaded Alolan Sandslash, but unfortunately that Hydro Cannon does a lot of damage. It puts me into range where they can probably just farm me down with that Sandslash, so not looking too good for us here. We are going to see that the opponent's going to come in with an Azumarill, so I'm going to commit to the Brick Break. Of course, not going to do much damage, but maybe if I can get a ton of energy on my Naganadel, we can do something. And of course, dropping their defense is going to allow me to farm down this Azu a lot more comfortably, but I'm expecting the opponent will swap back into the Sandslash, and they do. I'm able to make the catch, which is very nice. The opponent goes for an Ice Punch, which we're able to catch there. We're now going to go for a Fell Stinger. I thought the opponent probably would shield, but they actually no shield, so if I went for the Dragon Claw there, maybe we could have been in a good position. And again, I'm going to go for Fell Stinger. This is a really tricky situation where if I don't throw a charge move, I get 1 extra Poison Jab in, but if I don't boost my attack or buy 1 more stage, then maybe we don't quite get the farm down. But either way, I don't think we quite could have got that farm down there. If I got the farm down, actually, I don't know why the opponent just decided not to bother charging that fully, so we're going to go for the Fell Stinger. I'm going to continue to attack, but then I'm like, what's the point? We should have lost that game. The opponent does go for a bubble. Not really sure if they lagged there or something. I don't know. But either way, they get the win there. Very strange end game there. But anyways, into the next game, we're going to see some father and son action here as we swap into Como-O. The opponent's going to come in with their Hakamo'o. We're going for the Brick Break as that will drop their defense. And the opponent is going to throw a charge move here. Not committing to the full farm down, which is very nice for me because now I think I should just be able to come in with my Titan and go for a full Powder Snow farm down. So we come in and we do just barely get that farm down. As well, we can make it to an Avalanche. Avalanche is going to do more damage than a Body Slam, which is why we go for it. That's about 50% of their health there. They do make it a charge move. I'm just going to shield this. I can't really rely on Naganadel to sweep endgame because they might have something that just completely walls it. So instead, we're going to go for a Body Slam, taking them out, and they've got a Mandibuzz in the back. Now, things are looking pretty good for us. This could be a Dark Pulse, so I'm going to play it safe, use my shield, but the opponent baits with an Aerial Ace. I felt like that was pretty obvious that they would bait there, but either way, we go for an Avalanche, grab that final shield. We're going to swap because this once again could be a Dark Pulse, and the opponent does full send the Dark Pulse, and at this point I realise the easiest way for me to win this is not to throw a charge move at all, because I realised the opponent, unless they farm 2 back-to-back charge moves here, we can just go for an Avalanche once again with the Titan, and of course, super effective damage. This will easily be enough to take out the Mandibuzz, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there. Into next game, we see Titan into a Porygon 2. So fairly spicy from the opponent so far. We are going to go for an Avalanche, throwing it straight away as well. Making sure we throw it before they get off a debuff or potential debuff with that Tri-Attack. Because of course, that will debuff both my attack and my defense if it does get the debuff. We're going to shield as they did overfarm massively. Could have been something like a Zap Cannon, so I do respect the damage. They go for another Tri-Attack. They don't get the debuff again, but they make a very nice catch. Catching a resisted Avalanche onto their Jellicent, which is fine with me. At this point, we're going to come in with the CallumOnToast. I'm hoping that this Jellicent isn't running Ice Beam like the previous one was, so I'm going to no shield here. They go for the Shadow Ball. I'm going to farm 2 back-to-back charge moves as I realize, obviously, that Porygon 2 doesn't have any fast move pressure, so I still will be able to make it to a charge move. They actually come in with a Trevenant, which is fine with me. We're going straight for the Dragon Claw. Not going to do that much damage there, but one more Dragon Tail basically puts them into the yellow health range, very close to it, not quite yet. But we can come in with the Naganadel. They will just barely outpace me to the charge move, and I do fully expect the opponent will swap back into their Porygon 2. They swap there, but they are going to overfarm, which is going to allow me to make it to a Body Slam. Body Slam is going to grab the final shield from the opponent, and at this point this is game over. We've got a charge move banked on our Naganadel. Tri Attack takes us out, but it doesn't matter. We can go straight for the Dragon Claw, and this is going to be enough damage to take out the Porygon 2, and the opponent is just going to concede the match there. So GG's to opponent there. Into next game we see Titan into a Dugong. So battle of the ice types. This is much better for us now that we're running Powder Snow, just because of course the fast move is going to be double resisted anyways, but if we can make it to those Body Slams a lot faster, then we can actually apply some decent damage here. Obviously one Body Slam not going to do too much, but they will add up over time. And the opponent goes for a drill run there. I'm going to overfarm, following up to the back-to-back Body Slams, and I don't expect the opponent to throw straight away. I expect they're going to want to try and throw on good timing, so we go for one more Powder Snow, go for a Body Slam, and we're going to go and do the exact same thing, but this time swapping into CallumOnToast, catching the charge move, and it is not the Icy Wind, which is very good for us, but unfortunately they come in with a Shadow Gligar. So of course we know they've got something very weak to ice in the back. It might be that we're running 2 Pokemon weak to ice in the back actually, so we're going to come in with Titan. We have a little bit of residual energy. I'm hoping the opponent might overfarm in this matchup here, as of course they should have back-to-back Aerial Aces already loaded. We're going to shield the first one, and we're able to make it to the Body Slam. The opponent underestimates the energy here. Body Slam takes out the Shadow Gligar, and we're going to swap straight away, but they've got Altaria in the back. I think if I just stayed in there, I could have possibly made it to a Body Slam, maybe grabbed a shield there just because of the threat of an Avalanche, and then of course Dragon Claw with the Powder Snow damage probably would have been enough to take up the Altaria, but as a result, unfortunately, we don't make it to the Avalanche there, and we do end up losing that game. But GG's to opponent there. Into the final battle of this video, we lead into Whiscash, and I have to say, after the move update, I haven't seen too many Whiscash this season, but also I've seen a lot of random stuff, so kind of hard to judge the meta in these first few days, whilst I am still at a very low rank. They don't get the Scald debuff, which is very nice for us. I'm now going to swap. I know this is not going to be a Scald, so it's not resisted, but I just want to preserve the health there. The opponent comes in with a Talonflame, which is an interesting swap here, but I guess they do have super effective fly that they could potentially throw. They're going to bait with a Flame Charge. Doesn't really matter too much to me, as I can build up to back-to-back Dragon Claws. I'm hoping that we do win the CMP tie here, so we throw the first one, and we do win CMP. So of course, throwing the second one straight away. Don't really care if they shield or not. They do end up no shielding, but that's fine with me. We're able to get the full Dragon Tail farm down, and they've got a Victory Belt in the back, so this is going to be game over. Dragon Claw goes unshielded. We swap into Naganadel, going to completely wall them, so the opponent just concedes the match there. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.